the expectations of friendship. And so there was recently a clip where I believe her name is Shekinah, where she was speaking about her friendship with B. Simone and how B. Simone, when she was financially up and Shekinah was financially down and struggling, that B. Simone didn't help her out. She didn't throw no change her way. But at the same time, she was actually throwing change to folks who didn't actually need any type of money or need any type of assistance. And so, but may have wanted her care and her money anyways. And so with that being said, I'm just curious in regards to what do you think about this whole revelation, so to speak, between Shekinah and B. Simone? Was B. Simone obligated to help her friend who was down and out? And was there some sort of pride or sense of pride for Shekinah never to ask her? Like, was her expectations wrong that her friend was supposed to look out for her? I'm just curious. Is there anything in regards to being a rich friend and helping somebody else out?
All right. So I want to slow this down for a second. And I want to say just very succinctly that sometimes the boundary is the blessing. And here's what I mean by that. Everybody's dragging B. Simone. Like loyalty should override limits. But what if the real conversation is about the boundaries and that boundaries doesn't mean betrayal? And what I mean by that is sometimes the loudest stories, they're still incomplete. Everybody's talking about, oh, she didn't do this for her friend. But the bigger story to me is, yeah, we see Shekinah's pain, and it's valid. You know, she went through some struggle, but we don't know B's position. We don't know what she was dealing with at the time. Maybe she'd given before and gotten burned. Maybe she's holding space without holding the bills. Maybe she learned the hard way that sometimes helping the friends means not enabling the cycle. Right? If I give you a fish, you eat for a day. I teach you to fish, you eat for life. Right? We talk about friendship equity, but equity isn't always financial. There are other ways you can be a friend. Sometimes it's emotional support. Sometimes it's believing in your friend without bailing them out so they can learn the lesson and not have to circle back through it. And sometimes it's stepping back so they can step up. There's a really dangerous expectation in our culture. I don't know where we got it from. People be counting on people's pockets like if you got it and I need it, you owe me. And that's weird because survival doesn't equal like obligation. We're all here to make it. And yes, I can help you if I choose to help you, but it's not part of my story to make sure your story goes on. Because then what was the point of my story? Who's in charge of making sure my story goes on? She had to carry her own weight. You know what I'm saying? So just because somebody has access doesn't mean they have the capacity to carry you. Maybe B wasn't ghosting her friend. Maybe she was protecting her friendship that would have been crushed if she gave that lady that money and it went left. Because we've all seen it. Money gets involved and suddenly love turns into resentment. People start ducking you, not answering your calls. Now you're not just a friend, you're an ATM with memories, or at worst, you're a bill collector they don't want to talk to. So yes, public compassion should match your private loyalty. I agree. If you like that out in the streets, you should be like that with your inner circle. I agree. But private loyalty also means knowing when not to give, when it's not wise, when you don't have it, when it's not healthy, when it's not good for your friendship, when it's not helpful. And that takes maturity. That's not malice. So my bottom line is that helping isn't always a handout. Real friendship isn't about showing up every time with money in their hands. It's about knowing how to show up without losing yourself. If B. Simone said no, maybe that was her way of staying a friend and not failing a friend. So I'm with her. I do the same thing. I got like a little budget. And after my little friend emergency fund budget is going, that's it. Everybody's got to wait for next month. I'm so sorry. Somebody got here before you. You know what I mean? But I can't tap me out trying to bail you out because I got people who still depend on me.
I don't know a lot about B. Simone, but she has a very sketchy track record as it relates to people that she calls her best friends. So I want to, because she's not famous enough for me to really make this about her necessarily, right? She was famous enough for this to be a topic because what this topic to me was about the expectations that you have amongst friends, especially when maybe one friend elevates financially and maybe the other friends did not. Right. I think that's an interesting conversation to have. So, I think, if Shekinah, whatever her name is, I thought it was dope that they was able to have the conversation because sometimes you don't really get to see people's ugliness for real. And if you really were looking, you'd be able to see B. Simone show hers. And I think she's shown that side of her. So while people like her, there's a part of her that people don't like because the way she came across, it's tone deafness. There are other parts of the conversation or how burdenous it was for her not to be able to shop at one store. Now she has to shop at H&M, Crimea River type of shit, right? And so I just do think that there was ways that I just would not see her and say, that's a good friend. You know what I'm saying? I just wouldn't. I think the larger conversation starts with friends. How many of us have them? It's a cool song, but the song kind of intimates that they're not in abundance. Later on, we have a song that says, no new friends, which is an interesting thing to me because I think we overestimate how many friends we really have for real. And so sometimes you realize that and you're in that position of no new friends and you're kind of stuck in this weird place. I think I know a little something about that, right? Because what exactly is friendship? If I was down and out, and I think my pride would probably get in the way, for sure. I know that for a fact, right? But a person that I called my friend did do anything to help me, and they were completely aware that I was down and out. Not that I would necessarily expect it, or maybe I would. Maybe that's the semantic part, because if friends mean X to me, and then this happens and there's no X, does that mean you're really my friend? I don't know. So I think it starts with how you define a friend for real. So we use that word so loosely. I don't know that a person that I called my friend could see me down and out and not at least offer, even if I said no. You know what I'm saying? Even if it wasn't financial. I just don't know that I would see that person as a friend. So it's weird because I can't say expect it because in my friendships, I don't expect a lot of shit from people just in general. I'm not that kind of person who leans on people financially and otherwise, right? So I wouldn't necessarily expect it in that way. I guess I would be disappointed because it would reveal something to me that maybe I didn't see before because I'd have to really wonder. Now, the question becomes, does the person have it? And I guess in B. Simone's case, as being a public figure, it's easier to say, oh, well, clearly you had it, you can clearly see I'm down. So I get where Shorty's coming from. And kudos to her for working through that friendship with her to remain friends. But I think it starts with, what do you define as friends? And so what I would suggest for people to do is we just find another word. Everybody doesn't have to be your friend, right? They can be associates. We cool. That's my peeps, my homie. Maybe we find a different word that's commiserate with the type of relationship you have. You kick it. You talk every now and then. When shit is great, you have a good time, right? But for me, being a little bit old school, part of my friendship definition includes when we're down. There's like a subchapter where I guess I do have expectations then, right? For my friends to show up a certain type of way. So I guess there you have it, right? I do expect my friend. Now, what it looks like may vary. And as a person who moves a certain type of way, I do also understand that people don't have it sometimes. So Jay, if that was the case in her case, you would hope that a friend would understand that you didn't have it, but that doesn't mean that you still can't show up as a friend. And if you're really your friend, you'd find other ways to show up. At least that's maybe what my definition of friend looks like. Now, on the flip side, I do understand that people be watching podcasts don't know what the fuck is going on exactly, right? So I agree with you there. But when I heard her talk in that clip, it sounded like somebody who was really discussing how her friend was not really there for her. And it didn't necessarily have to show up a certain type of way. And then there was other parts of the clip that really made me question whether they were friends for real. And don't even get me down the road of how women pretend to be friends when everything is all good, but the minute that something breaks up or shakes up, it's a problem all of a sudden, right? Fuck that bitch, right? So we've seen it from girls' trips where girls be getting killed, when friendships gone awry, right? So it's not like the whole idea of women being besties to me sometimes is tenuous at best. So ladies, if you're watching, I would be careful about the expectations that you have with your girlfriends. Or at least the ones you think are friends, because you'll be surprised when they show you that they're not the type of friends that you thought they were. And then you have a choice to make in terms of whether or not you want to remain friends. And one thing about getting older for me is I'm getting a chance to really look at things clearly and redefine or define them for myself. And I think if we're all kind of on that path, there are certain things you outgrow. And sometimes that includes, you guessed it, friendships.